All right, hello wine drinking people. Today is, who the hell cares what day it is, man? This is what I drank yesterday. Could have been a couple days ago by now. The Gambal tasting Saturday night in the store. One of our last events to finish up the month of March. Just a fantastic event. This is something we do every year with Alex. He usually comes in for the South Beach Food and Wine Festival, and you know, the 2009 vintage was the focus of our tasting this year. I mean, we would have showed several older vintages, like we usually show a couple vintages, but 2009 is so special. It is a vintage where you have these incredible concentration of fruit, you have these incredible ripe tannins, and you still have good acidity, which is something that, you know, a lot of places in the world, when you have these other components of the triangle, like ripe tannins and a lot of fruit, usually you don't have the acidity that you have in Burgundy. So even a lean year in terms of acidity like '09 has got twice the acidity, or, you know, much more pronounced acidity than a lean year in California or another warmer wine-producing region. But 2009, a very special vintage. We've been talking about it now for some time. Alex gave us his review on the vintage, and, you know, I like his description of the tannins being like melted chocolate. That is a great description. It's amazing how well these young wines are drinking. Even some of the Grand Cru stuff, well, the Echezot still needs a bit of time. This is, you know, the Grand Cru stuff. You don't want to open up just yet. You know, these wines, their best is yet to come from them, and they're incredibly seductive, though. Even the better Premier Cru wines. And like I said, it's amazing even how good the Grand Cru wines are showing. And we showed the entire range of Alex's stuff, and he has been buying property up in Burgundy like a madman. Well, he's the first vintner to own Grand Cru vineyards last year, Batard Montrachet. Congratulations, Alex. And then he's on his way to owning, well, 2/3 of all the grapes that he produces. So very good job, because, you know, year-by-year contracts, it's difficult to be a consistent producer. You lose a contract here, you lose a contract there. Over the course of 3-5 years, you could have to change your fruit source entirely. So one of the smartest things Alex did was go out there and try to buy up as much of the fruit sources he was using as possible. So that's right, you know, control your own destiny. And he compared 2009 to another great old vintage, 1959. Seems like on the nines, 69, my birth year. Great vintage in Burgundy. 79, very good. 89, very good. 99, all you need to remember are the nines. Well, one of the things to remember, nines usually mean good vintage in Burgundy. The Echezot, the Grand Cru. Hey, I'm going to review these wines from the best wines back, because I always say drink the good stuff first. And that's how I open them up. I opened them up at like 4 o'clock and started tasting all the, you know, the great, the top level stuff first, the stuff that needed to open up more. The Echezot, this wine has got this lovely mint and exotic spice to it, a touch of smoke and earth to that red cherry berry fruits, bright raspberry fruit on the tongue, and excellent concentration. A lot of tannin showing in this wine. Some nice floral nuance, and a bit of a shy flower right now, but you can just tell the potential in this wine. It opened up nicely through the course of the several hours, but I would have liked to seen it on the next day. Keep this one for 5 to 7 years in your cellar. Killer juice. All right, the Von Romane Vieilles Vins. And what does Vieilles Vins mean in Burgundy? It doesn't mean anything. But to Alex, it means at least 50 years old. This one had kind of a beefy, kind of smoky bacon-like nuance to the nose, but still the pronounced fruit in this wine, the most noticeable thing. The pretty floral notes, the oriental spice, strawberry, raspberry, very complex bouquet here. Lovely intensity on the palate, that bright fruit shining through, and the acidity, you know, you notice it through those ripe tannins at the end, which is important. Even though these wines are big and fruity, still that lovely freshness shining through at the end. Most excellent juice. '09 Chambeau Musigny. They tried a little something new with this wine. They did one of the barrels whole cluster. So they got some of the tannins from the stems and added no sulfur. This added a little extra spice, and kind of, you know, by itself, it may be a little overwhelming, but with the other 6 barrels, really kicked it up a notch, according to Alex. The cola and caramel on the nose here, kind of apparent rose petal floral nuance, exotic spice, lovely red raspberry, red cherry fruits, lovely concentration on the palate. Chambeau Musigny, to me, one of the more pretty village wines, even though it can be a little light in color, maybe a little light in some people's opinion on the fruit. It has this lovely nuance that, to me, just carries all the way through the finish. Really excellent bottle of Chambeau Musigny, the 2009. The Sauvigny Le Bon Vieilles Vins, again, 50-year-old vines here. 2011, this will be all from their own fruit. A bit of an animal note to this wine, black raspberry fruit, pretty floral notes, some barnyard notes shown in this wine as well. Firm tannins showing up on the tongue. Bright black raspberry, though, and cherry fruit. Lovely velvetiness to the texture there. A bit tightly wound, but excellent Savini. And then the Bourgogne Cuvée du Papis. This wine, base of it is from Volnay. Lovely thick cherry and black raspberry aromas coming out of the glass. Some spice and smoky notes. But the focus here again on that ripe, forward fruits. Smooth and velvety on the tongue. Nice tannic structure here for a Bourgogne, and lovely freshness. Again, this wine, really nice calling card for Gambal. Very good stuff. All right, on to the whites. Hey, they taste the whites after the reds and Burgundy a lot of the time. We did none this evening, but that's how I open them. The Corton Charlemagne. This is for the far west side of the hill of Corton. So this is a very big hill, and this is an area that does not get morning sun, so it doesn't get as many hours of sunlight. But in 2009, that was a good thing because there was no problem with ripeness. This wine had a little brighter acidity in a vintage like this, and really nice ripe apple, lemon drop candy fruit on the nose. A little bit of anise, kind of a licorice spice there. Cinnamon, also nutmeg. Really lovely nuance on the nose here. Succulent apple and pear fruit on the tongue. A lovely concentration, some of that limestone minerality showing, and lovely layers showing on the finish on this wine. Really long, most excellent juice here. The Saint-Aubin d'Antelchen, the Teeth of the Wolf. This is another vineyard that Alex is looking to buy. Girardin is selling everything, so he's got a pristine vineyard site here in d'Antelchen, Premier Cru in Saint-Aubin. This wine had some lovely Asian pear and bright green apple fruit, lemon citrus, a little flinty, kind of smoky nuance there, the whetstone and buttered toast, ripe apple and candied lemon fruit on the tongue, a lovely richness in this wine, sweet but still has nice freshness here and balance. Again, really nice, excellent Saint-Aubin, one of the better values coming out of white Burgundy of Côte d'Avon. And then the Chassagne Montrachet Maltois, the Bad Troll, Premier Cru. Lots of iron in the soil here. You really notice that pronounced minerality in this wine. Some fresh buttered toast notes to that ripe peach and apple fruits, and little toasty oak shown in this wine as well. Nice concentration, though, on the palate and depth of fruit, with that distinct minerality showing through on the finish, like tingling on your tongue, and really seductive fruit all the way to the end here. Most excellent juice, the Maltois. All right, and then the Bourgogne Chardonnay. This is, again, Alex's calling card, and a lovely bright fruit, typical of this 2009 vintage, green apple, candy, lemon, citrus. Little hint of toasty oak there, spice, some mineral on the nose. Nice concentration of this wine on the palate, and nice, bright, balanced acidity and that tangy minerality again there on the finish. Very good stuff. And hey, we opened up an older bottle because, hey, you always get extra here at the Wine Watch. We have some 06 Clos Vougeot. First bottle was corked. You owe me a bottle of wine, Alex. Just talked about this at the tasting. And, you know, this wine was a little musty when we opened it. It blew off the glass I had in my glass, so I just went ahead and poured it for the group, thinking that, you know, sometimes French wine can be a little musty when you open it. Boom. Immediately somebody said, corked, and it was. Disappointing as it is, but the second bottle was simply delicious. The 06 vintage, a vintage that's drinking really nicely now, even some of the top-level wines like Clos Vougeot. All right, that's what I had to drink at the Alex Gambal tasting last Saturday night, folks. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying, remember, always drink the good stuff first.